Hi, I'm Christy Thomas-Shiro, your HTV host, and today I'm sitting with Rainbow Warrior shortstop Jacob Sheldon-Collins for another Senior Spotlight. Alright, well thanks Jacob for being here today. Thanks for taking the time out. So just talk a little bit about where you're from.
Growing up in Australia, born and raised, and I mean, playing baseball as a kid, playing Australian football as a kid, it was a very ordinary, standard life. Went to high school, graduated, which was good, and I mean, never really had aspirations to come to America. It wasn't until my senior year of high school, actually, I got an email from a junior college coach out in Iowa, and he just simply asked, we heard some good things and would wonder if you wanted to play for us, and one thing led to another, and spent 2 years in junior college out in Iowa, and then was fortunate enough to end up in this beautiful state of Hawaii.
I know you're making a name here for yourself at UH as a Rainbow Warrior, but let's talk about the Sheldon-Collins legacy. Your dad, your uncle, big time names in Australian baseball.
Yeah, I mean, Dad played, I think, in the Olympics twice, ran with the torch, played in the Australian Baseball League. I think my uncle did the exact same thing and was there with him every step of the way. So I mean, it was definitely had some role models to look up to, and I mean, if I ever had any questions or anything like that, they were always more than happy to help me out. So I mean, from day one, I was brought up sort of around baseball, in and around it, and I mean, it's worked out all right.
So you were pretty much born into baseball.
Growing up, I would always go to Dad's games as a little kid, and I would always sit in the stands, and always dreamed of being able to play and do what he was doing. So it was really something to live up to, and I mean, something I always wanted to do, but at the same time, it was really good, and it never really took over our life. Like, once we were away from the baseball field, Dad would never really talk about it, we'd never really discuss it, and we would just carry on as a normal family.
Cool. What was the coolest experience in the stands as a little kid watching your dad out there?
Just some of the fields he got to play at. Like in the Australian Baseball League, they had some awesome fields, and I would be 3 or 4 years old and just seeing all these big guys play, and I mean, I was just like a little kid in a toy store. Like, I would always be up there with my glove trying to catch foul balls, much like a lot of the kids do here, and I mean, all I wanted to do was play and try and be on that field, and fortunately I've been able to do that as I got older. What's
something you will always remember your dad telling you?
I think the biggest thing he told me is never to take it too seriously, always just to be relaxed. I mean, it's a game where failure happens, and I mean, he's like, just whatever happens, happens, and I mean, tomorrow we'll wake up and there'll be 4 billion people on the planet that won't even care what happens. So I mean, just to never take it too seriously and just to have fun with what I do. And I mean, he always told me, if I'm not having fun, don't do it. So I mean, no matter what choices I make, he's always going to support me with that.
So why did you choose baseball?
That senior year of high school was big. I wasn't really sure what I was going to do, and I mean, honestly, I probably would have continued with the football, but I think it was that email from the coach in America, up in Iowa, and just getting that recognition sort of thing, I feel like that really pushed me in the baseball direction, and I mean, I feel like it's turned out to be not a bad decision.
So were you ever scared to make that big move from Australia to Iowa?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was something that none of my friends had done, and I mean, moving halfway across the country to a place that really there isn't a lot to do. So I mean, it was a big step, and I mean, it was tough. That first month and a half was a big struggle, but I mean, fortunately, the good bunch of guys out there, and once I sort of got integrated into the team, it made it a lot easier, and I ended up having a great time.
Awesome. So why did you choose Hawaii after Iowa?
Well, fortunately for me, Andrew Jones, who actually used to pitch here, I think he pitched here for 3 years, he was a good friend of mine, and he lives 5 minutes from me in Australia. Wow. So he actually put in a good word for me to Trap, and said, look, if you need a middle infielder, I've got this guy who's pretty good. So fortunately, Andrew was able to put me into contact with Coach Trap, and one thing led to another, and ended up out here.
So I'm sure the move from Australia to Hawaii was more comfortable.
Much better. I mean, the weather very similar, the sun, the beaches. I mean, it's only a 9-hour flight. I don't have to fly 16 hours to get to Iowa, which is fantastic. So no, it was definitely a better change, and I love it out here. It's fantastic.
And this season has been pretty outstanding for you. I mean, you got your first collegiate award. How did that feel?
It was good. I mean, it's good after I sort of struggled last year, I mean, especially at the plate, so it was good to finally come out here this year and do what I know I'm capable of doing, and I mean, especially to prove to like Trap and the team that I can be of assistance and help us. So, I mean, it's been really good to do what I have, and I mean, the team's coming along well, and we're playing some good baseball.
Your batting average is one of the team highs thus far. How are you going to push through the rest of the season?
I mean, at this stage, it's just one game at a time, one pitch at a time, trying to get something in the zone that I can handle and just put a good swing on it. And I mean, after that, whatever happens, happens. But at this stage, yeah, just really trying to put some good swings on pitches and do what I can for the team.
Although you've only been here for 2 seasons, what is your favorite memory, being a Rainbow Warrior?
I would just have to say, day in and day out, being with all the guys. I mean, there's never a dull day. There's always something funny going on, the boys joking, and I mean, getting to come out here and play baseball, sport I love, with a bunch of great guys. I mean, I really couldn't ask for much more.
So, how do you want to be remembered? You know, it's your senior season.
I just want to be remembered as someone who was like there for the team, and I mean, just a fun, cruisy guy, never too stressed, and just always relaxed and always down to have a good time. And I mean, just someone who was there and was always down to have a good laugh with the boys. I think that'd be pretty good. I could live with that.
So what are your plans after you graduate and baseball's done?
That's a fantastic question. I mean, at this stage, it's just one day at a time for me. When the season's over, if something happens with the draft, we'll look into that. But if not, who knows? We'll probably could go back to Australia. We might stay here. It really just depends at this stage. It could go either way.
Well, I want to wish you luck on your future endeavors, Jacob, and thanks for being here today.
Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.